The oil fields of Texas never sleep. They roar with fire, steel, and ambition. Every drop of oil pulled from the ground is soaked in blood, sweat, and betrayal. Landman is not just a story about business, it's a war fought in boardrooms, on drilling rigs, and inside the hearts of families caught between loyalty and survival. And now, with Season 2 on the horizon, the stakes have never been higher. But before we dive into what's coming, let's take a step back. To truly understand the storm that's about to hit, we must return to the chaos, the power struggles, and the broken dreams of Landman Season 1. Season 1 of Landman dropped audiences into the brutal and unforgiving world of the oil boom. From the very first frame, the series showed us that this was not a simple story of drilling rigs and contracts. It was about power, greed, and the fragile line between survival and destruction. We watched as communities were torn apart, families tested, and friendships poisoned by the promise of oil money. At the center of it all was Bob Thornton's character, a sharp-tongued, no-nonsense man who knew exactly how dangerous this world could be. He wasn't a hero, not in the traditional sense. He was a survivor. Every deal he made carried weight. Every choice came with consequences. His presence reminded us that in the world of oil, morality often bends and sometimes breaks. Under the weight of profit, we saw small-town people drawn into a game too big for them, forced to decide whether to protect their land or sell it to corporations hungry for control. The series exposed the cold reality when the oil companies come knocking. They don't ask politely, they push, they manipulate, and they exploit. Season 1 showed us the human cost of these deals. Farmers, ranchers, and everyday people suddenly found themselves in a war they never asked to. But what made Landman truly gripping wasn't just the corporate drama, it was the human stories at its heart. Families torn apart by greed, parents who wanted a better life for their children, but who were trapped in a system designed to chew them up and spit them out. Lovers who dreamed of escape, only to find that money, once it enters the equation, changes everything. And then there was Sam Elliott's presence. His role carried the weight of history, wisdom, and scars from battles fought long before the oil boom. His gravelly voice and commanding energy gave the show a soul. He wasn't just another character. He was the embodiment of resilience, of old values colliding with a new, merciless world. His storyline in Season 1 set the stage for deeper struggles to come. The first season gave us a front-row seat to the clash of culture's old Texas tradition versus new corporate greed. We watched as loyalty was tested, as trust became a dangerous gamble, and as power shifted with every deal signed in smoky back rooms. Each episode left us with questions. Who could be trusted? Who would rise? Who would fall? One of the strongest themes that carried through Season 1 was the idea that the land itself is both a gift and a curse. It provides wealth beyond imagination, but it also consumes those who try to claim it. Families who built their lives on this land suddenly found themselves strangers in their own homes. The land didn't just belong to them anymore, it belonged to the oil and to those ruthless enough to take it by the end of the season. We weren't just watching characters, we were invested in their fates. We felt their anger, their loss, their desperation. And while some characters managed to survive the storm of Season 1, others were left broken, scarred, or gone forever. But if there was one message that Season 1 made clear, it was this: in the oil game, nothing comes without a price now. With Season 2 approaching, that price is about to rise even higher. The mistakes of the past haven't disappeared. They've only planted seeds of chaos for the future. And if Season 1 was about introducing us to the battlefield, Season 2 will be about the war that follows. Season 2 does not waste time. From the very first moment, it feels heavier, darker, and more dangerous than before. The oil fields, the boardrooms, the families, every corner of this world is about to be tested in ways that Season 1 only hinted at. If Season 1 was about introducing us to the game, Season 2 is about showing us the true cost of playing it. The stakes this time are far greater. The corporations have grown bolder, hungrier, and more ruthless. They've tasted profit, and they want more. Contracts are no longer just about land rights, they're about entire communities. lives and legacies being bought, sold, and destroyed. What was once a battle between neighbors and businessmen has now become a war between giants, and the casualties will not be counted in dollars. But in human lives, Billy Bob Thornton's character is caught in the middle of this storm. He's no stranger to backroom deals and power plays, but Season 2 pushes him to the edge. Every choice he makes has a ripple effect on his allies, his enemies, and himself. There's a sense that he can no longer hide behind clever words or quick deals. This time, the fight is personal. And when things get personal in Landman, blood is often spilled. Sam Elliott's role in this season adds a deeper weight to the story. His character represents the old Texas, the values of honor, loyalty, and survival in a land that does not forgive weakness. But now, he faces a world where those values are being crushed by greed and ambition. His struggle is not just about protecting what's his, it's about holding on to a way of life that is slipping away.
One deal at a time.
In Season 2, we will see whether he can stand firm against the tide or whether even he will be swept into the chaos. Beyond these two towering figures, the entire landscape of Landman Season 2 feels like it's on the verge of collapse. Families who barely survived Season 1 now face impossible decisions. Do they cling to their land and risk losing everything? Or do they sell their souls to corporations that promise wealth but deliver ruin? Every scene hints at betrayal, every smile hides a motive, and every handshake feels like the start of a war. What makes these stakes even more intense is the growing tension between morality and ambition. Characters who once seemed strong are beginning to bend. Good men and women are tempted by the lure of money, while villains become even more dangerous, willing to destroy anyone in their path. In this season, there is no clear line between right and wrong. Instead, the world of Landman shows us that sometimes survival means choosing the lesser evil, even if it costs you your soul. The oil rigs themselves, towering against the Texas sky, become symbols of both hope and destruction. They promise riches, but they also bring danger, explosions, accidents, and lives torn apart in an instant. The trailer teases these moments with flashes of fire, collapsing machinery, and the raw fear of men trapped in the chaos. These rigs are not just machines, they're monsters, feeding on the land and devouring the people who dare to control them. And at the heart of it all, the land itself feels like a character. Wide open fields that once represented freedom now carry the weight of greed and exploitation. Season 2 reminds us that in Texas, the land is sacred, but it is also deadly. Those who try to own it often find themselves destroyed by it. The stakes are no longer about who will profit, it's about who will survive. Season 2 makes it clear. This is not just a drama about oil. This is a story about power, betrayal, and the desperate fight to protect what matters most when the world is built to strip it away. By the end of the trailer, one thing is certain. Nobody is safe. Not families, not friends, not even the strongest men in the game. In Season 2, survival will come at a cost, and for some, that cost will be everything. When Sam Elliott steps onto the screen, everything changes. His presence is not loud, it's not flashy, it's commanding. With his graveled deep voice, weathered face, isn't the kind of authority that can silence a room without lifting a finger. He is more than just a character in Landman. He is the spirit of the story. In Season 1, his role carried the weight of tradition, a sense that there are still men who remember what Texas was before the oil rigs and the corporate towers took over. He embodied values that are fading, and our loyalty, and the kind of resilience that is born only from years of fighting battles no one else can see. His every line, his every stare, reminded us that this world may change, but the land itself has a memory, and men like him refuse to let it be forgotten. Season 2 brings Sam Elliott's character to a breaking point. The new trailer makes it clear. He is not simply standing in the background anymore. He is caught in the heart of the storm. The corporations are pressing harder, the families are falling apart, and the ground beneath his boots is no longer steady. He must decide whether to hold the line and protect what little remains of the old Texas, or adapt to a world that no longer values men like him. What's makes his role so powerful is not just his wisdom, it's his struggle. Sam Elliott's character knows that the battles he's facing are bigger than him. But he also knows that if he doesn't fight, nobody else will. This tension defines his arc in Season 2. He carries the ghosts of the past friends lost, promises broken, sacrifices made, and now those ghosts haunt every decision he makes. The trailer hints at moments where he will clash with younger, hungrier men who see the world as numbers and profit margins, not as land and legacy. His voice, calm but filled with iron, cuts through their arrogance like a blade. He is the reminder that this fight is not just about money, it is about people, families, and the soul of Texas itself. And yet, the beauty of Elliott's performance lies in its fragility. Beneath that strength, there is pain. There is the quiet weight of a man who has lived long enough to know that no fight is ever truly won. He understands that time is against him, that the land he loves may not survive this new era, and that sometimes the people you protect are the ones who hurt you most. Season 2 places him at the crossroads of history. His choices will shape not just his own fate, but the fate of everyone around him. Will he be the anchor that keeps his family and community together, or will he be the one crushed under the wheels of progress? This is the question that Landman forces us to ask every time he appears on screen. What makes Sam Elliott's role so essential to the series is the balance he brings. In a world filled with corporate sharks, ruthless oil barons, and desperate men willing to sell their souls, his character reminds us that there is still another way. That integrity, though fragile, still matters. That sometimes the strongest weapon a man can wield is not money or power, but his word, his loyalty, and his willingness to stand firm even when the ground is crumbling beneath him. But make no mistake, this is not a story of simple heroism. Season 2 promises to test him in ways that strip away every comfort, every certainty. We will see him broken, challenged, and forced to face truths that even he may not be ready for. And that is where the brilliance of Sam Elliott shines, in the quiet moments. When strength is not about how loud you shout, but how deeply you endure, in many ways, he is the soul of Landman. Without him, the story would lose its anchor. With him, it gains depth, gravity, and a reminder that even in a world consumed by greed, there are still men who fight not for wealth, but for something far greater on our family and the land itself as Season 2 unfolds. Sam Elliott's character is no longer just a voice of wisdom. He is a warrior, standing at the edge of a storm, knowing it may destroy him, but refusing to walk away. And that is why his presence doesn't just elevate the series, it defines it. Billy Bob Thornton is not just another actor in Landman. He is the beating heart of the show's chaos. They have the unpredictable force that makes every scene feel like it could explode at any moment. His character is sharp, cunning, and layered with contradictions. Part survivor, part manipulator, part reluctant hero. When he steps into a room, you don't know if he's about to make a deal, break a man, or burn the entire place to the ground. That unpredictability is what makes him so magnetic. In Season 1, Thornton's character stood out as someone who could never be pinned down. He walked the line between businessman and outlaw, between savior and destroyer. He knew how to play the game, bending rules when needed, breaking them when necessary, and always staying 3 steps ahead of those who thought they could outsmart him. But that survival instinct came at a cost. Every choice left scars, and every victory left enemies. Season 2 raises the stakes for him in a way that feels almost unbearable. The trailer makes it clear. He is not just navigating the oil world anymore. He is being swallowed by it. Deals that once looked clever now come back to haunt him. Allies turn suspicious, enemies grow more dangerous. And the corporations he thought he could outplay have evolved into monsters that cannot be tamed. Thornton's character is still the same quick-witted fighter, but for the first time, there is a sense that he may be running out of moves. What makes Thornton's performance so powerful is his ability to balance toughness with vulnerability. He can deliver a line that cuts like a knife, dripping with sarcasm or menace, but then, in the next breath, reveal a flicker of doubt, regret, or pain. His character is not invincible, he is deeply human, and that humanity is both his strength and his weakness. In a world that devours weakness, showing emotion is dangerous, but Thornton lets us see that underneath all the grit, there is a man who carries heavy burdens. The trailer hints at a darker arc for him in Season 2. There are flashes of boardroom battles, angry confrontations, and moments where he seems cornered, as if the walls are finally closing in. But true to form, Thornton's character is not one to go down quietly. If the corporations want to crush him, he will make sure they bleed in the process. That fight, that refusal to surrender, is what makes him such a compelling figure. He doesn't just react to the world around him, he reshapes it, bending it to his will, even when the cost is more than he can bear. His dynamic with Sam Elliott's character is one of the most fascinating parts of the series. Where Elliott brings wisdom, stability, and tradition, Thornton brings fire, disruption, and chaos. Together, they represent two sides of the same struggle, one rooted in old values, the other forged in modern survival. The tension between them is electric, and in Season 2, it looks ready to ignite into something explosive. Will they become allies against a greater enemy, or will their differences tear them apart? That question alone keeps viewers on edge. But Thornton's character is not just about business and rivalry. He is also a man haunted by personal demons. Past mistakes, broken relationships, and regrets he can never undo weigh heavily on him. In Season 2, those ghosts seem closer than ever. The trailer suggests moments where his mask slips, where we see the cost of all the deals, the betrayals, and the battles he's fought. It's in those moments of vulnerability that Thornton's brilliance as an actor shines brightest. He makes us care about a man who on paper should be irredeemable. The beauty of his role is that it defies easy labels. He is not the villain, not the hero, but something far more interesting, he is the survivor. He does what he must to stay alive in a world where survival is never guaranteed. And in that fight, we see the truth of Landman, that sometimes the line between right and wrong doesn't matter, because the only choice is to fight or be destroyed. Season 2 promises to push him to his limits. The corporations are bigger, the betrayals cut deeper, and the risks are higher. Thornton's character has always thrived in the shadows, making moves when no one expects them. But the trailer shows us a man forced into the light, where every mistake could be his last. And yet, that's what makes his arc so thrilling. When Billy Bob Thornton is cornered, he's at his most dangerous. By the end of the trailer, one thing is clear. Billy Bob Thornton is not going anywhere quietly. Whether he rises or falls, whether he wins or loses, his journey will leave a trail of fire behind it. And in a world built on greed and betrayal, that fire might be the only thing powerful enough to burn through the darkness. From the very first frame, the trailer for Landman Season 2 sets one thing straight. This will not be a season of peace. The tension is thick, the stakes are high, and every shot feels like a warning that chaos is about to erupt. Conflict doesn't just sit in the background, it drives the entire story forward. And the trailer wastes no time in reminding us that in this world, every deal is a battle, and every handshake could be a betrayal. The imagery alone tells the story of war on multiple fronts. We see boardrooms where the air is thick with smoke, pride, and greed. Men in expensive suits sit across long tables, their voices low but their intentions sharp. Every deal feels like a duel, every signed contract like a weapon drawn. The tension is not just in their words, but in the silence that follows, a silence heavy with unspoken threats. The corporations want more, and they will stop at nothing to get it. Then, in sharp contrast, the trailer throws us into the heart of the oil fields. Flames burst against the night sky, rigs shudder under pressure, and men scramble in panic as alarms blare. These aren't just machines, they are beasts waiting to consume anyone who dares to control them. The conflict here is physical, visceral, and immediate. It is not about strategy, it is about survival. And when steel bends and fire roars, there is no time for deals or promises, only instinct. But perhaps the most powerful tension in the trailer comes from the faces of the characters themselves. Sam Elliott's steady, unyielding gaze suggests a man ready to fight, even as the world around him crumbles. Billy Bob Thornton's sharp, calculating eyes flicker between anger and desperation, as if he knows he's playing a game where one wrong move could destroy him. Their expressions carry as much weight as the explosions and confrontations because, in Landman, conflict is not only external, it is deeply personal. Family conflict simmers beneath the surface as well. The trailer teases glimpses of arguments behind closed doors, voices raised in anger, and silences so cold they feel like betrayal. This is not just a fight for oil, it is a fight that tears through homes. Splitting fathers from sons, brothers from brothers, lovers from one another. The corporations may be the face of greed, but the true conflict lies within the families who must decide whether to hold on to or values or sell them for survival. The trailer also teases betrayal, the kind that stabs deepest because it comes from those closest. A handshake followed by a glare. A drink shared between supposed allies, ending with threats whispered in the dark. Season 2 seems determined to remind us that trust is a dangerous gamble, and often, it is the people standing closest to you who will push the knife into your back. Visually, the trailer builds this sense of tension by cutting sharply between moments of calm and chaos. 1 second, we see a quiet Texas landscape, stretching wide under a blood-red sunset. The next we see that same land scarred by rigs, lit with flames, and echoing with the sound of metal tearing itself apart. This contrast is not accidentally mirrors the fragile peace of the characters' lives. A peace always on the brink of shattering, and then there are the confrontations. The trailer gives us flashes of shouting matches, fists slammed onto tables, men standing nose to nose, daring the other to make the first move. There are scenes where guns are hinted at, though not always shown, suggesting that the violence in Season 2 will not remain in words alone. The threat of bloodshed hangs heavy in the air. The characters know it. What makes all of this conflict so gripping is that it feels inevitable. The corporations cannot be stopped, the families cannot remain united, and the land itself cannot remain untouched. The trailer doesn't show us if these battles will end in victory or defeat. It simply shows us that they cannot be avoided. This sense of inevitability makes every second feel heavier. Every line of dialogue like a spark thrown toward dry grass, and through it all, the music of the trailer builds like a storm. Low, rumbling tones give way to sharp crescendos, matching the rising voices and the flashes of fire. The sound design itself feels like a heartbeat racing faster and faster, as though reminding us that time is running out. By the end, it feels less like we've watched a trailer and more like we've been thrown into the eye of a hurricane. The tension and conflict in the Landman Season 2 trailer remind us why this show resonates so deeply. It is not just about Elliott, it's about survival, betrayal, loyalty, and power. It is about men and women trapped in a world where every choice comes with a cost, and no one can walk away unscarred. In this season, conflicts will not only determine who rises and who falls, they will decide who is left standing at all. History is full of moments when humanity faced impossible odds. Yet somehow, we found a way to fight back. But what if these challenges weren't just wars against other humans? What if the enemy was something far greater, something that thought itself above us, stronger than us, and destined to rule? This is the point where most civilizations crumble. Yet for humans, this is where we rise. When aliens underestimated humans, they didn't just misjudge our technology or our weapons. They misunderstood something far more dangerous: a refusal to accept defeat. Unlike many advanced species that rely fully on machines or systems, humans adapt when those systems fail. Break our weapons, and we'll build new ones from scraps. Destroy our homes, and we'll turn ruins into fortresses. Push us into a corner, and we'll come out fighting harder than before. That relentless drive is why history has never seen us back down, no matter how impossible the situation seemed. Think about the great wars of the past. Nations destroyed by bombs rose again stronger. Cities reduced to ashes were rebuilt into modern powerhouses. Generations scarred by loss didn't let grief break them. They used it as fuel to fight for something better. This is what aliens don't understand. Pain doesn't crush humanity. It forges us. Every tragedy becomes the seed of resistance. Every loss, the reason to stand again. Now imagine an alien force landing on Earth, expecting humans to surrender. At first, maybe panic spreads. Maybe governments collapse. But then something familiar begins. Small groups of survivors start to resist. Farmers with old hunting rifles. Hackers with nothing but laptops and stolen codes. Soldiers left behind enemy lines. Ordinary people who should have no chance at all suddenly become the first sparks of rebellion. That's the pattern humanity has always followed. The more we're underestimated, more dangerous we become. Aliens with their advanced ships may expect quick victories, but they won't expect human creativity. We don't just fight wars, we invent ways to fight that no one sees coming. In history, weaker nations outsmarted stronger ones with guerrilla tactics, ambushes, sabotage, and psychological warfare. That same spirit would appear again against aliens. Where their fleets expect direct battles, humans would strike from the shadows, cutting supply lines, hijacking technology, turning alien tools into weapons against them. And this resistance wouldn't just be about survival. For humans, every fight becomes about something bigger. Protecting family, defending freedom, refusing to kneel. Aliens may see this as weakness, but it's exactly why we're unstoppable. Our wars are not just about winning, they're about meaning. And meaning gives us endless strength. So in this section, let's break down how humanity's greatest strength is not in our technology, but in our resilience, our ability to adapt, and our unshakable will to fight back. Because once an alien force realizes they're not just fighting human weapons, but the human spirit, that's the moment they'll understand they messed with the wrong species. What truly terrifies an enemy isn't the battle they expect. It's the fight they never see coming. And this is where humanity holds an advantage no alien mind could predict or unpredictability. Throughout history, every powerful empire has fallen not because of brute force alone, but because they were outsmarted by those they believed were weaker. Humans are masters of turning the tide when the odds are stacked against us. And that's exactly what makes us dangerous. Picture this. An alien fleet hovers over Earth, armed with weapons capable of reducing cities to dust in seconds. They expect humans to panic, scatter, and beg for mercy. And at first, many might. But hidden in that chaos is the quiet planning of human resistance. Hackers cracking alien communications, scientists dissecting captured tech, and engineers modifying farming tools into makeshift weapons. These aren't soldiers. They're ordinary people, fueled by desperation and creativity. And that combination has always been humanity's deadliest weapon. Unpredictability has won humans' wars before. Guerrilla fighters in jungles outmaneuvered modern armies. Resistance groups in occupied cities crippled larger forces with nothing but courage and cunning. History shows us that humans don't always fight on battlefields with clear lines. We fight in the shadows, in alleys, in the minds of our enemies. When an opponent expects order, we give them chaos. When they prepare for chaos, we strike with precision. This constant shifting keeps us one step ahead. Now imagine aliens with rigid strategies and programmed thinking, trying to control billions of unpredictable humans. Every time they crush one rebellion, another sparks up elsewhere. Every attempt to scare humans into submission only fuels our anger. And here's the part aliens would never understand: fear doesn't paralyze us. It ignites us. The more hopeless a situation looks, the more determined humans become to rewrite the ending. But unpredictability is more than just tactics, it's innovation. The same imagination that created art, music, and literature is the same imagination that designs weapons from scraps and strategies from impossibility. Aliens may have superior machines, but machines follow rules. Humans break them. That's why, again and again, humanity finds ways to turn weakness into strength. Outnumbered, we spread out. Outgunned, We use stealth. Outpowered. We attack where power means nothing. The story of human unpredictability isn't just about survival. It's about transformation. When humans are pressed against the wall, we don't just fight harder, we evolve. New ideas, new strategies, and new levels of unity emerge from the darkest times. Wars in our history led to revolutions in medicine, technology, and communication. The same would happen in a war against aliens. Within months, humanity wouldn't just be resisting, we'd be transforming ourselves into something stronger than the enemy imagined possible. For aliens, unpredictability would be a nightmare. Every strategy they deploy would eventually fail because humans adapt too fast. Every weapon they rely on would be studied, copied, or turned against them. And every attempt to predict human behavior would collapse under the weight of our boundless creativity. That's the secret no alien invader could ever prepare for. When you push humanity to the edge, you don't find weakness. You find endless possibility. So in this section, the truth becomes clear. Unpredictability isn't chaos. It's controlled chaos. It's the art of never fighting the same way twice, of turning every defeat into a lesson, and every loss into a weapon. And that's why aliens will never stand a chance, because humans don't just fight wars. We rewrite them. There is one truth every invader in history has learned the hard way. You can defeat an army, but you can never defeat a people who refuse to break. Humans are not bound together by strength alone. We are bound by something far greater. Unity and unity. Born in the darkest hours is more powerful than any weapon an alien fleet could ever unleash. Think about it. Humanity is famous for its divisions. Nations clash, cultures argue, and people disagree on everything from politics to belief. But when an outside threat looms, all those cracks suddenly seal. An invasion wouldn't be met by scattered tribes of Earth. It would be met by billions of hearts beating as one. It wouldn't matter what language we speak, what country we're from, or what flag we wave. The moment Earth itself is threatened, every human becomes part of the same cause. Survival. And survival comes with sacrifice. Throughout history, humanity has endured wars that demanded impossible choices.